Okay, here we go. Hey, everybody, thank you for joining. This is the Real Mike Pittman podcast. And joining me on the show today is Mr. Wilbur Milhouse. Wilbur is the CEO of Milhouse Engineering, located in Chicago, Illinois. And he has a very extensive resume. I could read it to you, but I think you all want to hear from him. So, Wilbur, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, if you don't mind, please?
Sure thing. Again, Wilbur Milhouse. I am a civil engineer, born and raised right here in Chicago, Illinois, on the south side of Chicago, Illinois. Went to university at the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana. Got my bachelor's and master's degree from the University of Illinois, and have spent the last 30 years practicing civil structural engineering and building my firm over the last 30 years, 22 years of having my own firm, where we do water, wastewater, aviation, gas, power, construction management, program management, transportation, forestry development, hard bid construction. So we do a little bit of everything, Mike.
Wow.
We've been able to have offices in about 9 different states, one in Bermuda overseas, as well as one in Enugu, Nigeria. So that's the extent of our presence and what we're up to.
Yeah, and I noticed on your resume you said in Africa that you own a power company or a power development that you're doing in Nigeria.
Yes, we're in the process of developing power in Nigeria. We have a mine currently right now that we're mining minerals, and we're hoping to also do more in that regard in developing countries, but basically developing power, essentially trying to focus on West Africa as kind of our focus or our niche.
Yeah. Now, how did the partnership come into being in terms of going to Africa and identifying this opportunity?
Sure. About 10 years ago, I was invited to go over by the then president to take a look and see if there was some opportunities for a group of Chicago businessmen that we were going through and taking a look. I was one of the ones that decided to stay and continue to build a practice. So over the last 10 years, we've been looking at various different projects, looking at various different opportunities, and power development was one of the ones in which really kind of stuck for me as a true opportunity there, and we've been pushing on that ever since.
Yeah, that is very interesting, to be able to identify those opportunities over there. I've heard that there are a lot of opportunities in Africa from a investor standpoint for those individuals that are willing to take that chance to go over there. So that's great. That's great. And I noticed that you have like 500 employees. I noticed that your resume says so. It probably makes you the largest or one of the largest Black-owned engineering firms in the country, I would imagine.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We like to say that. Nobody's told us anything different. So, and some people want to look at revenue, some people want to look at other things, but we look at the number of people, and we're heavy engineering. So we're not heavy program management, project management, or construction. So all of those things make a difference when you're looking at who is the largest in quotes. But we feel pound for pound we can go up against any of them. And any of the majors. So the majors see us and say, okay, here they come.
Great. Now, Wilbur, where did you grow up? Are you originally from Chicago area? You were born and raised in Chicago?
Yeah, born and raised right here, south side of Chicago, 81st and Blackstone, the Avalon Park Grammar School. But I did my high schooling in the suburbs of Chicago, south suburbs. Crete, Monier is where my mom moved us out to University Park, and I went to Crete, Monier.
Well, how did you become interested in the engineering field?
My mother told me to. I was good at math. I was good at math, and she goes to her friends, "Hey, what do I do with this kid? He's good at math. He likes to tinker with stuff and build stuff and all this kind of stuff." They said, "Put him in engineering. He should go into engineering." I didn't know what an engineer was, and I went and started dabbling around, researching a little bit, and then I figured out, okay, engineering. All right, that's something I want to do. How about an aeronautical engineer? So at first, I was looking to be an aeronautical engineer, and then I went from there and quickly saw that aeronautical engineering wasn't necessarily what I really wanted to do. But I started figuring out that civil structural engineering was really very interesting to me, and I was able to make a go at that. Did very well and my studies in doing that, and really been able to do very well in my career and utilizing a lot of the things that I've learned in school to just really solve problems and figure out how to take care of our customers.
Hmm. Yeah, I noticed that you did say that you went to the University of Illinois. I noticed that you're also one of the trustees on the board at the University of Illinois as well. How long have you been a trustee?
I just was named a trustee earlier this year. I think it was March, May, between March and May. I can't remember exactly which day or time frame it was, but it was early this year. Been at various meetings this year and really learning about the University of Illinois system, which is comprised of three different schools. So you have UIUC, which is the main flagship campus and university of the system. And then you have UIC, which is the Chicago based campus, which is really flourishing and growing right now and doing very well. Um, Really starting to skyrocket in their rankings, and has really become a place where um, inclusivity is taken off to a point with still excellence and the grades and excellence in the research that's happening. So I'm very proud of that university. And then you have the Springfield campus, that's really starting to find its own niche inside of the system. So just really looking at all of the different universities inside of the system, learning about them, learning about all of the different things and how it all works together, and putting together that $7 billion budget. I mean,
Hmm.
it's quite massive. So
Yeah,
I'm learning a lot there at the same time this year, but I'm enjoying it at the same
yeah.
time.
Does Karen Hasara still sit on the board?
I don't think so. I
Yeah,
don't think
she's
so.
a former mayor of the city of Springfield. I know she was a
Okay.
board member one time. About 25 years ago, I was a director in her administration. It's been a
Oh wow.
long time ago. So, and I know she was on the board at one time. That's great. Tell us a little bit about some of the, I guess you would call, major projects that you've worked on throughout your career that your firm has been involved in.
Sure. Sure. One of the major projects that we always like to talk about is our hair modernization program. And that particular program I like to talk about because it's one of the catalysts that helped us really grow from probably um, us being almost zero people to now 500 plus, because we were in the throes of designing all of the different runway configurations that was changing out at O'Hare. So one of the first steps of having a international and world renowned airport is we had to change the runway configurations. We had a lot of crossing runways and a lot of things that weren't needed with today's technologies and jet and airplanes. And so what we did was take that configuration that had a lot of crossings, because uh, you can deal with a lot of wind generally when you're flying a plane, but because of technology today, they can deal with that wind no matter which way it's coming from. So one of the first pieces was to align all of the runways just in a parallel format. So, and add probably another three or four runways. So, extending some. So, we spent a lot of time, engineering time, and construction management time, really overseeing and designing a lot of that work. And it really helped us really grow as a company, and pretty exciting. And now you're seeing the follow-on of that, where they're looking at putting in new terminals as well as doing a new world-class global terminal for international travel. So that was one of the big picture plans related to all of this. And now that that first portion is done, now they're starting to do the second portion. So you may have seen that Terminal 5 has been totally rehabbed internally and turned heavily into a domestic terminal, and they're putting a garage out there now for Terminal 5, which didn't exist. And then a new global terminal will take the place of where Terminal 2 is at. And then you'll have two satellite terminals off of that new global terminal, similar to the way Terminal 1 is, where you have a satellite terminal that's off to the left. Well, right off of that, which is Gate C, if you know any of the configuration there. So
Hmm. Yeah.
that entire program was very exciting before for us for close to 10, 15 years. And now being involved in designing, we're the lead engineer for the design of the new global terminal, which is pretty
Oh.
prestigious. And it's kind of full circle for us to be almost starting out at the very beginnings of my owning my business. And when we first got into aviation work and working at O'Hare, and then now to be able to be the lead designer for such a prestigious project is pretty exciting. So right now, that's what we are related to the new global terminal, and it's going. We're changing things, doing different things all the time. So we can't wait until we can get that finished, so we can start building it, and everybody will be able to enjoy a fantastic new terminal. So
Yeah.
that's one of the bigger programs that really has been a catalyst, as well as been exciting for us. But I personally get really a lot of joy in projects that we do that center around people. So funny enough, many of my little small park projects really bring me a lot of joy and make me smile whenever I look at them. So I'm driving by a park and I see kids over there playing and people enjoying the park. I go, yeah, I had something to do with that over there. Or even Buckingham Fountain. All of the civil work around Buckingham Fountain is something that we designed. So whenever I look at Buckingham Fountain, I think about the 2+ years of us working and redoing a lot of that. And there was once upon a time a thought to take the fountain and redo the pumps inside of the fountain to make them sort of move around, similar to the way the fountains move in Las Vegas at the Bellagio. So that it was a desire to have that done, but from a cost perspective, it just didn't make the final cut. But and we actually redesigned all of the mechanical work inside of those fountains. Wow, that's got to be some 5, 10 years ago. So all of those kinds of things
Hmm.
really make me proud and make me feel, hey, I had something to do with that.
Yeah, it's legacy
Yeah,
too as well.
exactly.
So, tell us a little bit about your family. Married, children, brothers, sisters.
Oh yeah. I have 3 sisters, one brother, um, and I have my wife Dawn, who um, runs our charity, and then kids. I have my daughter Melanie, who's in the company, my son Quad, who's in the company, and then I have a daughter Jay and another daughter Ryan, who are doing their own thing. One's a teacher, and then one's in the hospitality space.
Oh, oh, that's great. Um, Pivoting back again, back to the company. What are some of the major challenges or hurdles you have had to overcome since you've been in business?
Well, there's always challenges about various different things. I mean, I think back to 2003 when I first started my business in 2001. My first year was good. Second year was a struggle in 2003, and then I started to have to deliver pizza. So, funny enough, while at the same time I'm putting together proposals for that big program and project that we ended up winning at O'Hare, I was out delivering pizza at night every night
Oh my
from
goodness.
um, March until September of 2003. We had won several different projects, and those projects didn't take off because a few years earlier, a year and a half earlier, 9/11 happened. So a lot of money towards a lot of those different projects were being diverted, and we were starting to have different things in the country that we were tackling and dealing with, and those projects didn't start. So I ended up needing to have some income coming in while I was waiting for that to happen. So I ended up delivering pizza at night. Um, so that was a struggle. I mean, and then you have various different things just in the course of building a business and learning different new things that you need to be doing. And, um, it can be a challenge. Sometimes we've had different challenges where some of our team members, we call our employees team members, some of our team members have done some things that are illegal and nefarious. And we've had to clean a lot of that stuff up. That's some of the things that we've been challenged with this year, most recently, where we've had to roll back about $3.5 million in revenue because we had some team members doing some very nefarious things of overstating what they were doing to try to bolster themselves up and make themselves look like they were doing a good job. So all of those things you're always tackling as a business owner and figuring out, okay, how do you right the ship? How do you keep things moving? How do you make sure you deal with those different pieces and come through and keep the all things moving forward? But we've been able to recover like we always have done. It seems like we go through these things at different points in times, and it teaches us. Like in this particular time, it taught us, okay, we have to have different controls in place to make sure that this never happens again. We have to have different mechanisms in place that we, want to trust our people, but we can't just blindly trust. And it's just those kinds of things that you learn to do as a business owner, and continue to build and continue to grow.
Real. Wow. Wow. Interesting. Wilbur, just in talking to you, you seem so humble, and which is a good quality.
Thank you.
And how do you maintain that humility with all the things that you're involved in and how the company has grown? I guess in one sense it's kind of easy to get quote unquote the big head, but
Sure.
he really seems very humble. And what is the secret to that? What you say in terms of staying humble?
I mean, for me, honestly, is knowing that I'm not in control of anything and that God is, honestly, and knowing and having just a good realization of all of that, that these things have been putting my into my hands to care for and to do well by, and that's my job. Um, and I know at any moment that any of it can go away. So I don't live to be that guy. I live to help people and to be that conduit to make somebody's life better. And so for me, being fulfilled happens every day, and it happens when I see our folks grow and mature, even though sometimes there's disappointments as well, as I just shared with you. But
Hmm.
generally and mostly it's fulfillment and seeing the really just seeing people blossom and flourish. And it happens in various different ways with various different people, and to be inspired by that and hopefully have them inspire others. That's, I get fulfilled through that, and that keeps me at a place where I'm not that guy. I tell people my door is always open. Feel free to stop by and say hello. I'm not the person that you have to have an appointment and all this other kind of stuff. That's kind of creepy to me.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a very enduring quality, and a lot of people don't have that. So I commend you for keeping that level head and staying there and realizing, where it all comes from and originates from. That's great. Uh, what can we do, or what's your opinion on how we can interest more young black to get in, to pursue a career in engineering or STEM, if you will?
Sure, sure. I mean, we do various different things in our charity to try to bolster that and try to really help foster that in general. But I would definitely say continuing to get involved in various different programs. It could be Boys and Girls Club. It could be Polished Pebbles, or Girls for Science, or Math Counts. Or we as a organization, Milhouse Charities, we get involved in a lot of different things and vet out how those different organizations are spending their money, and is it actually making it to the kids and really making a difference. So many of those ones that I just mentioned to you are doing just that. But having additional individuals really start to do that and get involved in those things, and giving, we're talking not a ton of time, but a couple hours a week, or even a couple hours a year. But it helps give back to those individuals that may not be exposed to engineering, like I wasn't exposed. It wasn't until I started to understand what it was, and I figured out that, wow, this is kind of what I've been doing as a kid, tinkering around, building stuff, taking apart stuff, opening up boxes, and I used to take the covering off the tube TV that we had and tinker around with all those little pieces. Um, so that was just part of what I was interested in, and really giving those individuals those opportunities to sort of tinker, play, and be involved in stuff. Those are generally the individuals that are most successful. And we've really had a mission related to really getting girls interested in the sciences and STEM as well. And so we've, like in Atlanta, we are partnered with Southern Company related to a program called ICANN, which really bolsters and push and supports girls, women going into the STEM world and the math and the sciences. So we look for all of those different things, and I would just say we all have to chip in and do all of those pieces, because we have a lot of talent. I always tell people talent is divided equally amongst any race, any population, everywhere. It's just access to opportunity that isn't. And we many times just don't have access to the tools, access to the teaching, access to uh, being able to enhance those skill sets that our people have.
Yeah, yeah, it's interesting you say that. Robert Blackwell, I don't know if you know Robert there in Chicago.
Sure,
I just
sure.
interviewed him, and he said some of the same things that you're saying. So sounds like both you guys are on the same page.
Oh
Robert
yeah,
has been a
Robert's a good friend.
yeah,
Robert's
he's been a good friend of mine over the years. He's a heck of a ping pong player, man. He spanked me up there in his office. I thought I was pretty good until I picked that paddle up, man, and he
yeah,
was
yeah. He loves baseball.
points.
He's very
Yeah,
passionate about it.
yeah, yeah, he is.
I haven't played him yet, though. Not that I
Yeah,
was
well,
supposed
you
to
better
be.
bring your A game if you do. I can tell you. Oh wow. Hey, just moving along here. COVID-19, did it have any negative effect on your business?
It had a negative effect and a positive effect. So, just inherently with engineering, there's a lot of collaboration and working together. So when you take that out of the mix, and people not being able to collaborate and be together, and you have to kind of force it by being on a screen, it took away that human element related to what naturally would happen if folks were in the office and a cubicle over or down the hall. So that suffered, I would say, in the development of our people, as well as the quality of the work in which we were performing. So we've seen since COVID a lot of quality issues that we're really grappling with, and social issues related to many of our team members that really, they fire off the email, or fire, but they won't go up and say something to a person, and getting folks to say it's okay to interact, or it's okay to, hey, blow that person a call instead of just sending an email and thinking somebody's going to respond to an email. It is just habit changing again, related to what I've seen as the difficulties or the long lasting effects of COVID in the business world. So we're kind of really trying to retool, reteach, while at the same time, the you know cat's out of the bag related to a 5 day work week. I mean, for most
Mm,
people, that's never going to happen again, as far as I can tell, moving forward. So some hybrid type of working solution will be probably in existence moving forward, which I'm very okay with. For us, we just saw how damaging the portion of collaboration and working together was related to our practices, and so we have times where everyone is reporting to the office to create that collaboration that happens almost forcefully 2 or 3 times a week. And some of those other days are kind of variable days that our different team members can work from home or work here or work in another location. So that's how
yeah.
we've been able to get through some of that. But yeah, COVID was quite a hit, but it allowed us to go ahead and do some of the things that seemingly I would be jumping on a plane for, but maybe an initial meeting or some other things could happen remotely like we're doing right now. So which saves time. I mean, if you're down in Springfield or Central Illinois and I'm here, I would be driving your way or you my way, and that's 2 3 hours out of our day for us to have
Mm-hmm.
the same collaboration and conversation where this technology has allowed us to be able to do that and still be able to do probably two other things with that
Mm-hmm.
couple
Yeah.
hours we don't have to spend on the road. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say those were the good things that came from COVID. And we kind of morphed our business for a while where we started to do sanitization, which we hadn't done before in our environmental group. So by doing that and taking that pivot and starting to do something different was very lucrative for us at that time. And so it was a testament to our team of being able to look at different opportunities in the face of disaster and say, hey, how can we pivot and keep some folks motivated, busy, and provide a service? So that was one of the ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, where do you see yourself and your company 5 years from now?
Probably being one of the largest firms in the, I would say, east of the Mississippi, um, doing work heavily in utilities. We really love our utility work and our utility clients. And I would say that we will be probably looked at or seen as one of the premier firms east of the Mississippi.
Mm, okay. Uh, how
Probably,
important? I'm sorry.
no, no,
Uh,
go ahead.
yeah. How important are mentors to you, and who was your role model growing up?
Well, I had several. I mean, I've thought about this many different times, and I've had several along the way, role models or mentors or people that I looked up to, or people that I just gleaned things from. My mom raised me until I was probably 12, and then she remarried, and then I had a stepdad in my life. But my father wasn't necessarily in my life or around. And so even earlier on, I gleamed and looked at things in different individuals that I wanted to be or wanted to have. So I had an uncle that was um, he was very successful. Worked at IBM back in the 70s, so that was a big deal, right? Was a manager for IBM back in the 70s, and I saw the success that he had a BMW and a Mercedes, and lived out in
Mm-hmm.
Bolingbrook when only white people lived out in Bolingbrook. It was just
Mm,
like, wow, I was like, wow, I want to have and be able to do some of the things that he would be able to do and travel to Maui and have a very nice house and nice cars and all of that kind of stuff. So that was one of my role models or things that I saw that I wanted to be. Another individual by the name of Mr. Branch, one of my best friends' father. He was a father's father. I mean, he was the guy that took us to Boy Scouts and was drove a bus as a living. So he wasn't like what my uncle was, a big successful business guy. He drove a bus, but he took care of his family, and he, used to go to work every day and come home every day, and really spent time with his kids and family. And I just really saw that as, hey, I want to have that relationship with my kids, and I want to be that rock for my family, that always taking care of the household and being able to provide for them. So that's something that I saw in him that I really admired and saw as, and I'm talking about when I was younger, a couple of things that really helped center me.
Mhm.
And then through my career, various different individuals, Rupert Graham, for example, when I was in college, he would give back to various different students by coming back, talking about how to get through school as well as what the career life was once you finish. And various different individuals like Don Sloan, Rupert Graham, and various other guys like that. So those were some pivotal, interesting individuals that I saw that I wanted to emulate and be like. And as we, go through my career, I can look at various other people in the industry, like Robert Backwell, you mentioned. His dad, again, another individual entrepreneur who went off and was at IBM and started a huge technology company. And then I respect Robert so much because Robert didn't necessarily want to be in his dad's company. He wanted to create his own. So that to me was very gutsy, and he's been successful at doing it. So um, looking at those different individuals always inspire me, and I glean different things from so many different people that I know, that I meet, that I talk to. So I can't just say one. There's probably 50.
Several. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's great to be able to have that, growing up, and to have someone to look up to, someone to kind of guide you along the way. So that is excellent. I think more of that is needed in our community where we can, foster some of these younger kids that, to kind of go down the wrong path. And if we can, have people such as yourself, there to help mentor them and, push them on the right path. So that's great. Another question for you: what advice would you give someone wanting to start a business? Not necessarily in engineering, but a
Sure.
business in particular.
Just in general. No, I like this question because I know so many people have different ideas and different thinkings related to, you know, being able to attack or approach a problem, or think, hey, this is the next best thing. I would say act on it. The worst thing you can do is have an idea or have something that you can put into practice, and let it sit. So first thing is to act on it. The second thing, and what I mean by act on it, is start putting down your ideas on paper and start putting a business plan together. And most people get fearful about the word business plan, like this document that's this thick. You're just writing them down, various different things related to what you would like to sell or what you service you would like to provide, and who you would be selling it to, and how would you sell it, and what markets, where. And you're just, and you can go online and Google templates for different business plans, and then help you, just guide you through just the basic breakdown of your who, what, where, why, and when, and how much, right? And figuring those pieces out. And then I always tell people it's a very good idea to go and study an existing business that's doing something similar or doing what you want to be doing. If it's a restaurant, which is a very hard business, by the way,
Yeah, I've had one.
you should study it, because it's a lot of very intricate pieces related to a restaurant, and you could lose pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you have to watch various different things. But any business you can break down into various different components and pieces. And a lot of people say, well, having a business is risky. It's only risky if you don't know what you're doing. It's only risky if you have areas that you haven't thought through. So the first thing is start to put the things that you think about on paper, writing them out, asking questions, study other individuals in that field or around what you want to be doing and what you want to have. And then networking, as you probably know, networking is very important in being able to say and talk to different people and being able to bounce various things off of, or being able to potentially ask for support or help in various ways that you may need. It may not even be financial. It may be, hey, I'm trying to get a license for this or that. What steps did you take to go get this license? I mean, it could be as simple as that, but having a network that you can rely on to be able to ask questions to various people is very important while you're building your practice, whatever that practice is.
Great. I just have a couple more questions here for you, Wilbur. I just really appreciate again you taking the time to sit down with me and do this interview. It's been really great. I've really enjoyed it. Just listening to you talk and learning about you and your business, and especially your humility. It's just great. Is there a Black Engineers Association that exists? And if it is, do you play a role in it?
NASB is the National Society of Black Engineers, and it's heavily geared towards individuals that are engineers. And I've spoke at NASB. I used to be a part of NASB when I was in college, so there's a college chapter as well,
Hmm.
and then there's a chapter for individuals who have graduated from college. I'm not heavily involved on a, being on a board or a day-to-day basis, but
Hmm.
whenever I'm asked by some of the individuals at NASB to do various different things, excuse me, I'm right
Hmm.
there for them. But
Yeah.
that's one of the major ones. That is Black organization. Then you have various different organizations that may be very focused on African Americans and like utilities. So ABE is one of those organizations, AABE, which focuses on Black professionals in the utility space. And then you have some that may be with mechanical space or maybe with the civil space as well.
Yeah. Just one, two more questions for you. What do you like to do in your spare time when you have spare time? When you have any
Sure.
hobbies? What exactly that you enjoy doing for relaxation, if you will?
Well, I'm a big sports fan. So I love watching sports, whether it's basketball, football, many other sports as well. I just love being entertained by watching athletics in general. So I'm a big sports fan, so I watch that for my downtime and relaxing. I love to go and have a great meal someplace. Hence my size, brother likes to eat. A brother likes to eat. So I try to balance that, though. I try to balance
Mhm.
that. But having a great cocktail and a great meal someplace is fantastic. And then finishing off the day with a great cigar, where that's just kind of my chill time. I'm not thinking about anything really. I'm just really just having a nice cigar where I'm just really mellowing out for the day. So those are the things that I like that are more consistent on a day-to-day basis. Then you have things in which I like to do, which is travel, just in general. I do a lot of traveling for business, but traveling with the family, going different places that we haven't been, that's always fun. That's always
Yeah,
fun. Just seeing the
yeah.
world, seeing different cultures. Um, is probably the most enjoyable piece because what you find out and what you learn is we're all different, but we're all the same.
Hmm.
Each and every culture is different, but we're all the same. So it's being able to see that has really opened my eyes for just being able to see the world for and people for who they are. We
Hmm.
are very different in ways, but we're very the same in ways too.
Hmm. I noticed when I was looking on your resume and some of the states that you do business in, I noticed you had Texas listed on there, which is a growing state right now. I know the
Yep.
city of Houston is the fastest growing city in the country. What cities are you doing business in Texas right now?
Dallas. So we have work at DFW, Dallas Fort Worth, Texas. So that is one of our new major clients. We actually just won some new work down there, so we're quite excited about that. And we've been looking at Houston for quite some time. I mean, but New York and New Jersey has just really kept us really busy.
Mm,
So we're probably heading towards Houston soon.
mhm,
We dabbled and talked to some folks there, and we actually have a new client there. I believe it's one of our utility clients is there. I don't want to say the wrong one. So, but we're definitely starting to look at Houston as the next
yeah.
place in which we put our flag.
Yeah, my son lives in Houston. He's with Cushman and Wakefield as one of
Yep,
the directors with them, and
nice.
you know, and he's really, it's really a growing city. Then you mentioned New York, another good friend of mine. I know he's really doing well. Then you probably know Mike Sutton. I
Sure,
know he has
sure.
an office there in Harlem,
Yeah,
and I know it's doing really well there. So that's great.
yeah.
Well, was there anything else that I didn't ask you that you like to add, or you like to let our viewers and listeners know about?
No, no, I think you covered all of it, and thank you for having me. Anytime you want to have me back, I'm there for you, and each of us can make a difference. If I have a closing remark, each one of us can make a difference in the world, and we can make a difference to have that world be what we want, and not necessarily just feel defeated or feel like things are all looking down or bad. I think each one of us are good individuals, and if we just let that little bit of light shine, we can all make a difference.
Hmm. Wilbur, thank you so much for being on the show. I just really appreciate it. I'm going to end the recording here right now, and I just need you to stay on just for a couple seconds
Sure.
afterwards. So